impairment of intangible assets. Three basic categories here. We've got the impairment of our tangible, our limited life intangibles, okay, our ones that have limited lives. We've got impairment of our indefinite life intangibles, and then we've got impairment of goodwill. I'll take care of the limited life and unlimited in this video, and then do a separate on the goodwill. Okay, so if your intangible assets have a limited life, they are going to be, the impairment is calculated exactly the same way as we did for property, plant, and equipment. You're going to say, is there a possibility that the asset is impaired? Okay, so Volkswagen could say, oh, do you think our brand name is impaired after our emissions scandal? Maybe, yeah. And, you know, there's, you think Wells Fargo had a little damage to their brand, maybe, and might have been a little impaired. So, is there a possibility this asset is impaired? If there is, then you do the recoverability test. And of course, you remember that from planned assets, right? You take the carrying amount of the asset, what it's on the books for, you know, and you compare that with the undiscounted estimated future net cash flows. And if the carrying value is greater than those cash flows, then you've got some impairment. Second step, if it's impaired, then you do the loss. And that's where you take, again, the carrying amount, but now you're comparing it to the fair value of the impaired asset, and that gives you your impairment loss. And if it comes up in value again, you don't recover it. Okay, so that's your basics on your limited life. If you have an indefinite life intangibles, basically you can't do a recoverability test because you can't estimate the future cash flows because they would go on into infinity or indefinite, yeah, whatever. So you don't do the recoverability test, you simply calculate the impairment loss as we did above, carrying value of the asset, fair value, that's the loss. And then you're testing those for impairment annually because the indefinite life ones, as you remember, are not getting amortized. Okay, so let's look at a quick example of this. Okay. Exercise 1213. This is a copyright. We've got the carrying amount, expected cash flows, we get the cost, all sorts of good stuff here. It says the company will continue to use the copyright in the future, and the remaining useful life at this point in time is 10 years. So we're supposed to do some stuff here. Okay, so we first of all do the recoverability test to see if it's impaired. Well, we've got the carrying amount they give us is 4.3. Expected future cash flow is only 4. Yeah, we got some impairment. Calculate the loss, carrying amount, fair value. Our impairment loss is $1,100,000. Okay, so if we're doing the journal entries on these, you always hit the wrong button. We're out here. How can I lose everything? All right, we've got impairment. Here we go. All right. Try this again. Aha. All right. So in 1231, we would do the loss on impairments, the number we calculated, and then you would be doing the amortization expense and copyrights at the end of the year based on the new carrying value. And the easiest way to do that is just keep track of it either with a T account or with a, an actual account. So it started out at 4.3. That was the cost. And then, I'm sorry, was that the current carrying? Anyway, that was the carrying before the impairment loss. Here's our loss, new value, and then you're going to be amortizing that over the remaining 10 years. So our carrying value at the end of the problem is that $2,880,000. Okay, so that's your impairment of limited life and indefinite life intangibles. Okay, and we'll do goodwill next.